What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to The Breakdown. This is the series where I analyze subscriber gameplay to help you improve. In today's episode, we're going to be analyzing a Demolition gameplay on the map Evac from Enya1805. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so as always, let's start it off with a class that she decided to use. So we've got the Pharaoh with a boa sight, quick draw, rapid fire, and grip. And I do like the fact that she's using quick draw as well as rapid fire. I love rapid fire on the Pharaoh. It is excellent for it. But grip, on the other hand, is something that I really feel isn't necessary on the Pharaoh. And personally, I don't really notice much of a difference with. So I would rather switch this out with something like Stalk, which not only allows you to be a much harder target to hit when you strafe in your gunfights, but it also helps you make fine adjustments to your aim by strafing into your shot rather than using your right analog stick to try and aim. So that's the one change I would make to your attachments on this. For perks, first off, we have Fast Hands, which in my mind is pretty much essential if you want to be relatively aggressive. And then we have Dead Silence and Awareness. Now for a game mode like Demolition, typically there is quite a bit of noise going on, and I find Dead Silence really isn't super useful unless you're running into somebody that's like a super sound whore or something like that. But even then, most people aren't able to really pick out footsteps that well in these sorts of game modes. So therefore, I would probably drop Dead Silence for something else. I know she has a good headset and she likes to use it, so Awareness is fine. That's totally fine. It might help you in some situations. I just feel like you're wasting a point on Dead Silence. I would rather have something like Tac Mask, or maybe even swap that out completely and take the wild card off, put like Flak Jacket on there, and then have like a concussion grenade or a rocket launcher, something along those lines to help you out. But overall, not a terrible class by any means, just a couple little tweaks that I would make personally. Alright, so let's get into the gameplay now. And this is an extremely long gameplay because I ended up going to overtime. So instead of breaking down every little piece of the gameplay, which would end up making this episode like an hour long, which I don't want to do, I'm just going to be picking out various situations throughout the gameplay itself. And let's start it off with the first opening route here. She rushes up like this, her teammate gets sniped, and she decides not to challenge, which was a really good move, because a lot of the times those snipers, if it's a good sniper, he'll just be posted up on that barrel, and the second you peek him, you'll be dead instantly, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I like that she didn't challenge that sniper, she decided not to, but she also made her first mistake, which was going for a reload after firing only one burst. She had so much ammo left in her magazine, she didn't need to go for the reload, and then she got caught off guard by an enemy that went for that middle flank. Now right here, I really like the awareness she had. She knew that her teammate got killed here. She must have heard that gunfight go on, most likely. And then you can see the skull there as well. And she came around this corner pre-aiming, ready for a gunfight. And it made that gunfight an easy win for her because she was ready for it and her enemy was not. Skipping ahead a little bit again, I just wanted to point out how good she is with coming around corners and pre-aiming really common areas where you expect enemies to be. She's always ready for gunfights like this, and this is just another argument for having Stalk on your class. It will help you come around these corners a little bit more effectively than you already are. You're doing a great job with it, but Stalk will make it even easier. Again, let's skip ahead a little bit here, and I really want to talk about positioning for this next minute or so of the gameplay. She's approaching situations very nicely, like I said. She's aiming down sight, coming around corners, she's taking corners nicely and everything, but her overall map positioning just isn't suited to the situation and the game mode. Right now, where she's positioned in this mid-map area, any kills she gets right here are somewhat objectively insignificant. She's not really super close to any bomb sites. Yeah, it might help cut off a flank or something like that. But right now, what's really needed for her team, since her teammates aren't really filling this role, is a more objective focus. That doesn't necessarily mean she should rush out towards the A bomb site and immediately try and plant. There's obviously a few defenders there because you can see her teammates are getting picked off. But be a little bit more aggressive trying to kill those guys that are set up pre-aiming at that bomb site. Maybe try and flank them or something like that, instead of just hanging out towards the middle of the map and waiting for them to come to you. Next up, we have a situation where she isn't really playing to the strengths of her gun. Now, the Pharaoh is good at close to medium range, and it's somewhat usable at long range sometimes if you take your enemy off guard, but it's definitely not ideal, especially against like sniper rifles or assault rifles or LMGs. You are going to be taken out most of the time at this sort of range when you're using the Pharaoh. So it's okay to have a peek around here, but she actually tried to challenge that guy. He had better cover and obviously had a better gun for that situation as well. So as soon as I saw that guy, I probably would have just backed out of there and then tried to find a different way to get an angle on him. Instead, she tried to stand her ground and challenge, and she lost. Skipping to a little bit later in the round, there's only one bomb site left here. And she's going around on the flank like this, and this is great. She's picking all these people off from behind. They have no idea what's hitting them. And she didn't get tunnel vision on that guy as well, which is a nice thing to point out. A lot of people would have just focused on the one guy and they would have completely missed the guy that she ended up killing, so that was great. She's been a great thorn on their side here. She's slaying them quite well. She doesn't have much team support when she plants here, but that's okay because she killed a bunch of people. She created that buffer zone for herself before planting, and she was able to complete the plant before dying, which was excellent. So unfortunately, they ended up defusing that bomb eventually, and right here is another one of those big picture sort of things with positioning. She shouldn't be pushing this side of the map this far away from the bomb site. There's not much time left to get that bomb planted, and she's in a pretty terrible position to do anything to help with the objective at all. The only thing she might be doing over here a little bit is somewhat distracting some of the enemies, but it's really not working that effectively. So instead of pushing all the way around like this, she should have gone towards the middle of the map or straight towards the bomb site. I know it's riskier, but it's what the situation demanded in order to win the game. Skipping ahead to the second round here, I just want to talk about a bit of a general topic that a lot of people struggle with, and that is opening routes. Right here, you can see she doesn't really know what she wants to do. She kind of wants to cut off middle, but then she was thinking maybe I'll go this way. And by that time, the enemy team has already gained a bunch of map control, and unfortunately, she just didn't take advantage of the opening route. It doesn't matter what playstyle you're playing with. It doesn't matter if you're a really hardcore rusher, or if you're a sniper, or somebody that just wants to play somewhere in the middle. Have a plan on an opening route and execute it. You can't afford to be really indecisive here, because for every second you waste, that's another second that the enemy has to gain that advantage over you as they push up for map control and take their opening routes. So always have a plan and execute at the beginning of a round. Doesn't have to be the perfect plan, it just has to be a plan. So getting later into the second round here, right now it's too late for her to save the A bomb site, so she's focusing more on the B bomb site, which hasn't been planted yet. She's on defense, by the way, and I like how she's holding this buffer zone right here. She's pushed up past the bomb site, unlike any of her teammates, and she's also being unpredictable. She's constantly moving from cover to cover, staying in corners and stuff and waiting. This isn't camping, this is playing defensively and playing the objective very, very well. She's being very unpredictable and she's picking these people off so they can't even get to the bomb site at all. Now eventually they ended up planting this bomb on her, and instead of just blindly rushing towards the bomb site to defuse, she kept her gun up, she kept her eyes open, and she used the bomb site as cover in this gunfight to pick this person off before going for the defuse. So very well played there. A lot of people would have just blindly rushed at the bomb to try and defuse it and gotten themselves killed instantly. So after a lot of back and forth in this round, the enemy has the bomb planted right now. There's almost no time to defuse. She sees her teammates defusing, and I love that she pushed up again past the bomb site, creating that buffer zone and making sure these enemies couldn't even get a line of sight on the guy that's defusing. Had she not pushed up like that, it's very likely that guy would have died and the game would have been over right there. Skipping ahead to overtime, where there's only one bomb site in the middle of the map and either team can plant it and try and blow it up. Right now, her team has no map control towards where that bomb site is. She ran over here, got killed in this choke point. I like that she didn't go to that same spot and try that same move over again, because it's pretty clear the enemies have that choke point locked down and they'd be able to take her out no problem. So she changed things up a little bit and she went for a really objective-oriented flank here. And by objective-oriented, I mean she didn't flank all the way around the outside of the map and waste a bunch of time. She went on the flank, but then directly cut in towards the bomb site. It was the perfect move, but unfortunately she did lose that gunfight. So there we have it. That's going to wrap it up for today's episode of The Breakdown. If you have a gameplay that you'd like to be analyzed for a future episode of this series, all you have to do is send a link to a gameplay that is completely raw gameplay with no music and at least 720p in quality. If you send that to the email address that's in the description below, I will have a look at it, and if I decide it's something that will fit well with the series, I just might use it for an episode. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.